Today, I am very excited to once again host a very dear friend named Dan Prestegaard on the Rebekah Panepinto Project. Dan was one of the original first 4 guests on my show back in 2020, so I'm excited to have him back on today to hear all that he's been up to since. Now, prior to his current role, Dan spent the past 6 years as the CIO of NewMotion, a high-growth private equity-backed healthcare company based in Nashville, Tennessee. As their CIO, he led the transformation of the IT organization, establishing them as a very innovative group, a well-run function that enabled strong growth and predictable performance with the best in industry security and compliance. Since then, Dan has been named the Chief Information Officer of the United Urology Group, also known as UUG. There, he is responsible for the information technology strategy and all systems required to support the organization's objectives and goals. This includes their infrastructure, network, web, mobile, and clinical systems. Dan partners closely with the management team, the senior physicians of the company, and the board to drive growth through M&A as well as organic initiatives. As you'll see today, Dan is a very impressive technology leader and has led up to some really cool projects since we last spoke with him. Enjoy the show. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Rebekah. How are you?
I'm so good. This is so fun to have you back on.
Fun to be on. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're catching back up. I think you were episode 3 or 4. You were early on, back when I was doing my own editing.
It was awesome. Yeah, I know. It was a lot of fun the first time, and I'm really excited that you asked me to come back again. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive in, hear all that you're up to now. So working for UUG.
UG, that's right.
Yeah. Great company. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, it's still healthcare, so I love to be in a role where you're helping people. I love to be in a place where, you really enjoy the people and you have a lot of respect for the people that you're working with, and you like them and you feel challenged. And so UG has been awesome for me, and working with Audax Private Equity again,
Yes.
who I worked with at NewMotion, and that's been an awesome experience. Audax, terrific people, really sharp. And I talked to them about coming on board here at UUG, and it's been great. I love it. Yeah.
Very cool. So for the people that aren't used to acronym soup,
yes.
Will you walk us through what UUG
Sure.
stands for and really the healthcare problem that you're solving for?
Sure. UUG is United Urology Group, and it's and PE is private equity. So yeah, acronym soup. That's really funny. So we are it started off as a company called Chesapeake Urology Group, and then grew into a multi-state. So there's now in Maryland, Delaware, Tennessee, Arizona, and Colorado. And what it does is it has a management MSO, that management services organization that provides services to finance, accounting, technology, HR, other things to the different practices, multi-state practices. And so what we do is we make it, kind of work and seem as one company, but with still the individual practices that take our services and use our services.
Very cool.
Yep.
Do you get to be frontline or see the customers you get to impact?
Sometimes. We get to spend a little bit of time at the clinics and do ride-alongs with the doctors in different ways. Certainly we get to meet with them pretty often and understand how our services are helping. And we get to also look for opportunities to do things like whether it's portals, which we have a Follow My Health portal, or do things like telehealth, where we can be, the technology is the front line. So we do a little bit of that. Yeah, we get to spend a little bit of time there.
So Dan, we've talked in the past about how private equity sometimes gets a bad reputation for only being in it for the money, the bottom line, the margin. But at UUG, you don't really have that opportunity because you're touching patient care. So how do you balance being private equity funded, being focused on numbers for them, but really making a change in the world?
It's funny because, so first of all, when the people that I work with at Audax they're among the smartest business people that you'll meet. And they understand that there's a right way to do business. And they understand because they have so much deep experience running their portfolio, and deep experience knowing that there are, if it's good for the patient and it's good for the doctors, then it's also going to be good for the bottom line, essentially. And so, the people that I know at Audex are just, they care about the patients. They care about they care about having a good business result. I think that some of the bad rap that private equity has is because they have such broad access to multiple businesses that they can see what bad looks like. Like they understand pretty quickly, when you have, whether it's management that, isn't performing, or they have, costs that are out of whack and out of control, or technology that isn't scalable, for example. And they also understand so because they have that access and they have that visibility, when they make decisions, they can make decisions faster, because it's like thin slicing. You can see something that's wrong, you thin slice it, and you can make a decision faster. Whereas other places where it's sort of organically growing, or they might let something go for longer, you can make a decision faster when you're private equity, and you understand really what good looks like, and you have deep understanding and good business acumen. So that's kind of one thing. And in terms of healthcare space, the nice thing about private equity, what it's trying to do is it's trying to find places to grow the business so that you can scale and take economies of scale. So I talked about the MSO, how it's providing HR resources and technology resources and finance resources, sort of like a, managed services organization, does the back office type services, so that doctors can practice what they do, right? They can practice helping you with your health. And that's really what we're trying to do. And that's a scalable concept. That's something where you can take it, you can find other practices that that need that sort of capital, and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with, making sure you've got the right technology, making sure you have the right, network in place, the right, sort of financial reporting. They don't want to necessarily deal with that. They want to practice medicine. And so what we can do is, and what private equity allows us to do, is we can scale ourselves and pull in other practices and provide those services in other places. And I mean, I will tell you that Audex really knows that playbook. They've done it in a bunch of different places. And that's why, when they called me about this and we started talking about it, it just made a lot of sense. I mean, it made a lot of sense, checked a lot of boxes. It was something that, we were able to do. I worked for Audex also at New Motion, and we were able to check a lot of those boxes of making it into a scalable IT organization, making it something that first, I go by serve, scale, innovate. So first serve the customers, the things that you're trying to do, and then make it into a model that you can scale. So you can go and do acquisitions and pull in other parts of the company, and then, become a portion that allows you to innovate, be something that's a service differentiator, right? And so that's what we try to do at UUG. That's what we did at New Motion. First, get it into a bucket, right? Serve everybody that you need to serve and make sure that it's good service. Then scale it, be an engine for growth, and then innovate and be something that's a differentiator in the marketplace. And that's really what we're trying to do at UUG. And that's some of what we did at New Motion.
That's good. And you make a good point of how, like, this experience that these private equity people have, this business outcome, can make them seem hasty and they make decisions really fast, but really it's just a benefit of being on the job and seeing things, and you kind of know 10 steps ahead. And I'm sure that's why they wanted to bring you into the ecosystem as well, because you'd been in another organization, executed on this.
It does help to have that experience, for sure. Because I mean, you're in sync with what the private equity folks are trying to do, and you can also, it's like you can see what it should look like and try to really get it to that place.
Yeah, no, that's good. It leads me to my next question for you too. When you arrived at UUG, like, what was your initial reaction and projects you wanted to tackle to be able to make an impact and accelerate that organization quickly?
I mean, my initial reaction was, what great people. Honestly, the staff that's there, just awesome, terrific people to work with, very easy to work with. So that was kind of reaction number one. Reaction number two was, okay, I mean, whenever I started a place, the first thing I do is start asking questions about, like, what do we really like, what do we really not like, and how do we kind of bridge the gap on those things. And some of the challenges were like communication, right? So if there's a problem, it sort of didn't get the light of day. There wasn't as much transparency as you want to have. So that was some of it. Some of it was also just trying to do things in a standard way, and having there be, the ability to measure what you're doing and have good metrics on yourself as a service delivery organization, and then also measure things so you can also see what your baseline is, and then show where you're making improvements, whether that's like help desks answering calls, or it's uptime for different branches or network, or whatever it might be. I mean, uptime, or how long a transaction takes in Allscripts or something. I mean, all kinds of things that you take those benchmarks. So those were the things that I worked on first, was just the low hanging fruit of measuring and communications, and working on that. And then the next thing was really just it was pretty clear that we didn't have terrific operational metrics and reporting, and so getting a BI organization in place, and getting that so that we can get operations better visibility into their business results. Those were the kind of things that we attacked pretty early on.
That's good. I feel like telemedicine at some point we've talked about as well. That was a really good digital driver. What did that project look like?
So I got here, and Dr. Jenny Beppel, who is just an awesome person, and I mean a true leader, business leader, and also a physician. She had started a telehealth practice, and a guy named Mark Zawadny provided the technology for it, and just there's the bones were terrific. I mean, there were people that really bought in and had things, but we weren't measuring what we were doing. We weren't measuring who did it, when it was being done, and it was really a organic effort. We didn't have sort of the project plans in place for getting it to something more. And so we're taking a much more intentional kind of look at it now, and trying to say, all right, where does this belong? Where in the day of the doctor does it belong? For what types of procedures does it belong? For what, is it a doctor or is it an APP that should be doing it? That sort of thing. And so it's been a lot of fun taking the existing thing that was there, and then adding and getting intentional, and applying some of the, project management discipline, but also metrics type discipline, and getting better, business visibilities into it, and partnering with the really smart people that were already here to try to make it, optimize it the best we possibly can.
It's good. I love the way you talk about your team and your projects, of like how little of it's about Dan, and so much of it is about the team and the people, and leveraging the resources and what's in front of you versus like recreating the wheel. Is that part of your philosophy on leadership?
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, you and I talked about my personal philosophy last time, and I talked about the twin engines. Do you remember that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the twin engines are refining your nose for finding good people, right? Mm-hmm. And then focus on the customer. And so, yes, definitely for me, it is all about finding those good people. And BI, I talked about BI a little bit. So a guy named Manav Purohit, who's my leader in BI for UUG. Amazing guy, terrific, smart. Partnered him up with a woman by the name of Victoria Hoffman from Crow, who's a consulting company, great consulting company. Victoria is like off the charts bright. And between the two of them getting that stuff together, I feel good that I was able to kind of, see those two talents, but the talent is like off the charts, and what really makes it happen. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something still, it's a personal philosophy of mine, of finding really good people, setting them free, and every once in a while you got to coach them up. Not those two, but some people you got to coach them up every once in a while. But really, it is really all about finding the talent, and then just for me, I consider it to be my job to clear the hurdles for the talented people. I think of it as like, I work for them more than they work for me. So it's my job to clear the noise out of the way, get the barriers out of the way, and that's what I want to do.
Good. I love it. How about security within your ecosystem? I mean, healthcare, highly regulated,
Yeah,
urology, I'm sure has another layer
for sure.
I've not even ever been introduced to. How does security play into a lot of this, and how do you balance that with your end users?
So security it's top of the list for me every single day. If a CIO tells you that they're not up nights worrying about security and compliance, they're probably not telling you the honest truth. So, and it's an area where we've really invested here at UEG, and again, Audex makes it top of the list for things that they want to make sure we're ticked and tied on. And we, here I brought in a company called Thrive. They have a VC, so a gentleman's name is Andrew Archibald, who is just top notch, really, really awesome guy. And we partnered with him because I knew that I had to get somebody that was in, and I know how hard it is to hire in the security space. And so I would highly recommend if others, do the similar type thing, which is get a VC so in place that really knows it, and can help to bring along the technical staff and the administrative staff and getting policies, procedures, technology, other things in place so you can really grow the program pretty quickly. So that was something that worked really well for us, getting those guys in. We did have to pretty quickly do things like multi-factor, which we did with Microsoft, get things in place like much better asset control and get things in place, like also replace firewalls and some other stuff and get better policies and security in place. But that's always been top of mind for me, and it's top of mind for me now. And we're partnering with some good firms to help us get there.
That's good.
Yeah.
How about innovation? Have you been able to set a lot of that foundation to now build upon it and do really cool projects and advance technology?
Yeah, I would say we're dipping our toe into innovation. I mean, so we had, we did have that serve, emphasis at the beginning, and then scale, we got all to Office 365 and so that we can scale it, get everybody on the same versions of the software that we had and that we have, and get the help desk shored up and other things. And now we're dipping our toe into innovation. One of the things that we're doing is we've partnered with a firm called Ascent to do revenue cycle management.
Cool.
Yeah, and they do on revenue cycle management, they do AI, machine learning, RPA play where it's submitting to insurance companies for payment. That's a highly transactional. It's very, you submit it, you have to wait a certain amount of time, you get the responses back. But it's very, very good to be in line with like an RPA solution where you can see all those things and you can have the if then else programmed right into a computer essentially doing it. So we partnered up with Ascent and a guy named Bill Stone, who's just top notch, to do some of that AI and so essentially what you do is you have the RPA, you have results that come back, you feed it into an engine with the algorithm that tells you where you have things, how things are trending, and you can adjust the meters a little bit, shorten your cycle time for collections and improve your denial performance. And that's something that we've done some work on. And a woman by the name of Jennifer Rue has just done awesome work on revenue cycle management and partnered with Bill, and we've kind of pulled all that together, and that's been a fun project to work on and to partner with different companies and bringing the solutions in place.
Well, I'm sure you can see real impact and ROI too, more than setting up an FA. At this point, you're actually getting to move the needle forward, and
no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. It's a lot of fun, and it's there's a lot to it, but the technology's gotten a lot more predictable. There's a playbook for it now. It's not. There was a time we talked about doing this we did some RPA and stuff at New Motion. We talked about doing, more of, actually talked about, partnering with Ascent. It was a little bit more what I would call the leafy end of the branch at the time, but it's become a lot more, normalized. So, yeah.
That's good. Very cool. Up to lots of really cool things. Have you been able to get further involved in the Nashville technology ecosystem too, being that it's such a healthcare town?
I not as much as I'd like to. Not as much as I'd like to. I keep in touch. There's a couple of practices I keep in touch with, and people I keep in touch with that are tied in. But I have not, honestly, I've not spent enough time with the Nashville, TLC. I try to keep in touch with those guys and the, some of the other groups I keep in touch with, but I haven't been able to go to as many events as I'd like, and I really need to make that a focus.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of benefits to it, but your team is, I believe, Baltimore. And
yeah, Owings Mills. So we're kind of spread out. I like to do, I like to be able to, I feel very comfortable tying in with the talent. Like the talent to me is more important than the physical location. And so like Manav, for example, my BI leader is in Chicago. My infrastructure services team is in Nashville. My Owings Mills, my head of the applications group is in Owings Mills, so we're a virtual team, but we talk all day long. I mean, and the technology just facilitates it. There's not as much of a need to be in person all the time anymore, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you have, really talented people and if you've got the right people on the team, it's not like you need to watch over them, and they're doing the right stuff. So.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see on the clinic level too, if that becomes more and more the case where you can do it remote, rely on that telemedicine.
Yeah.
Not worry about the physical.
Yeah. I will say that that's something that we're doing now at UUG, where we've got people, our field support staff, which, we've got awesome guys that actually go and represent the technology group in the clinics. So when there's a problem, we didn't used to have people that would go to the clinics and to the branch locations, and we changed that up about 3 months ago. And so, it's a little bit of a change for us, but trying to get there to be more presence there so that our people can solve problems, recognize that we have, issues in different branches and stuff. So that's something that we changed because we noticed we weren't seeing as much, kind of personal things that were going on with physicians and with the practices themselves.
Yeah, physicians are a hard audience to serve because they do not want technology to slow them down.
No, they don't. You're right. They're really smart. I mean, generally speaking, they've gone for years and years of education, and especially there's some that are really good tech natives and really push the boundaries. There's some that prefer the personal interaction and try to use the computer and technology as an end device too. So you kind of need the full spectrum, but no matter what, to a man, they're sharp people that really just want their workspace to work, and so that's something that we have to make sure that we're really customer focused, physician customer focused, patient customer focused, and make sure we have a really good environment for all of them.
Where technology is enabling, not
that's hindering. Right. You got it.
That's good. I love it. Well, it wouldn't be a Nashville interview without 3 guitars in the background.
2 guitars and a bass.
Oh, yes. I love it. Yes. I noticed the bass now. That's great. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your music and your passion for that creative side of your life.
Yeah. Well, so I'm actually, my keyboard's right over here, so it's a little out of frame. And that's what I play more than anything. But I took bass lessons in COVID, so I was doing that for a little while. Actually, I haven't played it in a little while because my son's picked it up. He wanted to, take the bass, so he took that and he started taking lessons. And I love music. I cannot play these guitars. I tried for a little while. my hands don't work like that, so I'm more keyboards, and I do like the bass. That's a lot of fun for me. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me once that a guitar is 6 pianos on top of each other. And I was like, yeah, that's enough convincing that it's a hard instrument.
Yeah. Well, I have my Genos, which, you can load up the keyboard, which you can load up a lot of the guitar sounds, and then I don't really need to mess around with them too much, So.
Yeah. I love that it can be a family bonding moment though, and that you can play with your son. That's pretty cool.
My daughters, both they're taught themselves on a little bit on guitar. My daughter Mary taught herself on guitar, and my daughter Natalie taught herself on piano, and so it's a lot of fun. We like to do music. So my son actually played the Ryman not too long ago.
What?
Yeah, he played the Ryman with School of Rock. Yeah. It was
awesome. Is so cool.
Yeah. He's a great little musician too. He's a lot of fun to watch. And so they played the Ryman. It was a lot of fun.
That's very cool. That's one definitely that you don't forget.
That's right. Yeah.
He'll remember that forever.
Yeah.
I'm sure the feeling had to be pretty amazing. So very cool. Well, I love it. I have just one last question for you, Dan. And I know since you've been on the show again, we've got to expand your principle set here, but what would you say is the core principle that you live by to be successful in business?
Yeah. So, and that's the one we referred back to, right? So that's, you let me do it last time with Twin Engines of good instincts for people and make it all about the customer. So, all right, I got to expand it.
Has it grown and changed maybe in your last couple of years of experiences?
I would say, man, making me think. I would say just deal transparently and with integrity. Like, like a personal thing, just kind of how you are would be like deal transparently and with integrity. And, to me, you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror. You need to be able to look your all the people you work with in the eye, and know that, if you have something to say to somebody, say it to them, and if you have things that need to be addressed together, they can be done professionally and respectfully, and I don't know. I would just say, kind of deal with integrity. At my daughter, my middle daughter, Natalie, who, she asked me, I asked her, they asked for one word in school. They asked her for one word to describe their parents, and she said integrity for me. And I was just like, oh, I love that.
That's cool.
That made me really happy. So I was like, okay, that works. I'll deal with it.
That's awesome.
I'll take that.
You're doing something right if that's what sticks out in her mind.
Just lucky. Great kids. Yeah.
It's very cool. They are. Your family's awesome.
Thanks.
I do concur. Well, thanks for doing this, Dan.
I love that you've met Mary now too. So that's a lot of fun for me. And now that you guys are in New York City, hopefully you can get together, get some coffee, and
absolutely.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, they're all great and excited to see them grow and be successful as well. So thanks again for being on the show. It's great to hear what you've been up to, all the good work that you're doing at UUG, and would love to catch back up maybe in another couple of years and see where you are.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time and doing this. I really appreciate it. And I love the show that you're doing. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Absolutely. You've always been very helpful. So appreciate it. All the best, Dan.
All right. You too. See ya.